If you're buying a home in Ohio right now, your leverage depends entirely on where you're buying. If you're selling, so does your pricing power, because some areas of Ohio, folks, are hitting record high home prices in the middle of the winter. In the middle of the winter. Others are stacking more and more price cuts. And the statewide numbers, they're not gonna really show us what's going on. So we're gonna go down today to a zip code level to look at what's really happening in the Ohio housing market. And let's see if your zip code is at risk, because many areas of Ohio are in trouble when it comes to the housing market, but not in the way that most people think. My name is Jason Ferrier. Welcome to the Ohio Housing Nerd. I am a realtor. I'm an investor here in Central Ohio, and this is your chance to learn about the Ohio housing market. So drop your zip code in the comments, and I will pull that area. I already have some that you guys have requested, so we're going to get to those right now. Then I'll take some comments. Real quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an accountant. I'm just a normal, average, everyday Ohioan that loves real estate and loves educating people on it and loves helping people buy and sell properties. Like I said, I'm an investor too. So, and I like YouTube. All right, let's look at this zip code right here. Let's do Newark, kind of where I live. I live close to Newark. We're going to start with inventory. So when we think about the housing market, it's important to look at a few aspects. One of them would be inventory, the number of homes for sale. And if I look at Newark, 43055 in Licking County, you can see this is staggering. Since 2019, if you compare the number of homes for sale right now to 2019, we actually have 32% fewer homes for sale. It's insane. And if I look at the inventory count, though, we have 89 homes for sale in the Newark 43055 zip code. But you go back during COVID, you could see we had 36 homes for sale, not that many at all. Then we have gained some inventory. So we're barely up compared to last year. Last year at this time, we had 87 homes. Now we've got 89 homes, not much better, right? And if I look, really what's driving this are the new listings. So if I look at new listings year over year, look at this, 27% fewer new listings. 27% in Newark, fewer new listings, meaning there are fewer people basically deciding to put their home on the market. And there's many reasons for that we can talk about today. And if you have a question about the housing market in Ohio or the housing market in general, put them in the comments. And if you want to see your zip code, put that in the comments too. It helps me if you put the zip code and the city, so I can kind of calibrate myself on where we are. If I look at prices now in Newark, we're going to look at prices. So year over year prices are up in Newark 1.9%. So you think, well, it's not that much, housing nerd. It's like, no, it's not. It's not like it's, back during COVID. I mean, we had, we had insane price growth, right? 18% growth of home prices in 1 month, 10%, 13%, year over year home price growth was just unsustainable. And now we are down to a more manageable 1.9%. But the thing that stands out is prices are not falling in Newark. Now, if I look at the typical value of a home in Newark, so I say, all right, what's the typical value? $238,611. The typical value is that 35th to 65th percentile. So it's like in that middle range of homes. Obviously, there's more expensive homes. Obviously, there's cheaper homes. But in general, that is the typical home in the Newark market. And something that you should pay attention to is, look at this. We're at 238,611. That's an all-time record high for Newark, Ohio. An all-time record high in home prices right now. in the middle of the winter. Yeah, crazy, right? Homes have never been more expensive in Newark. Unfortunately, you're going to see this continue. Well, you're going to see it continue today as we go through some of these zip codes, because a lot of them are like that. So that's an example of what we'll do today. If you drop your zip code in, I can review it. Like I said, I have others that people have requested if I don't get any suggestions. Let me look at a couple of the comments real quick. Let's see what we got. It's good to see everybody. I haven't done an Ohio Live in a while. Just been busy with clients and whatnot. And I have a national channel. I've been doing lives, but I need to make sure I keep my Ohio peeps updated because I love Ohio. All right. Good afternoon to you too, man. TH2, you're always around. I appreciate it. Oh, I already have some zip codes here. 44514. I'll do that one. I'll just mark these. Mark Jones, what's up? 44212. I'll do that. Sandusky, Ohio. Bro, I like that. Could you tell me about 44870 and 43229? I go between Sandusky and Columbus, Forest Park East. Okay. I'll look at that one. I love looking at all these different zip codes. Like, you may think, man, I can't believe you like doing this, but I do. It's fun. Ethan Moore, 43040. Okay, they're piling up here. Magpie, Annie 73, 44903. Wow. Okay. Boy, I got a lot of them here. And you want 44906 Okay, I'll see how many I can get to. I've got about I can go until an hour and 10 minutes or so, hour and 20 minutes before I have to get off. Man, there's a lot of them. You are coming in strong. 44641, triple R, triple H, 81671. So that one. A. Jadkins, 1555, 43123. Yep, I'll do that one. I'm planning on moving. I'm sorry, Rex 145X says I'm planning on moving to Cuyahoga. From Cuyahoga to Lake County, property taxes could be cut in half for me soon. Yeah, Lake County, or just that whole market up there, taxes are high. Isn't Lake County high too, though, on property taxes? I mean, it's all high in Ohio. Don't even get me started on property taxes. Today's about the housing market in general. We can talk about property taxes if you want, but in general, I'm going to kind of hit on housing, the trends for y'all. Looking to buy in 44641. Okay, good. That helps me. Yeah, it really helps me if I know what you're doing in the market. If you're not, if you're buying, selling, whatever, or investing, I'd like to know. 43119. Synapse 792. And I got one in the University District, 43202. Barbara, I'm not going to pronounce your last name. Galloway, 43119. Synapse 792. Yep, you want Galloway. I'll do that one. And then, and you're looking to buy. Okay, good. That'll help me. Help me understand what's happening. In Galloway, you're looking to buy. All right. Okay, let me start with this one right here. Mr. I don't know, M. Ricky. I'm not sure I pronounced that right. 44514 you want to know about. Bear with me on these pronunciations, folks. All right, we'll do this one. 44514. Where is that? Okay, Eastern Ohio. If I zoom out, you're like on that edge, right? Near Youngstown, I guess. Is that where it is? All right, so we're going to do inventory first. Again, you have to pay attention to inventory. If you want to know where a market is headed, a housing market is headed, pay attention to inventory. Inventory talks before prices do. It proves itself time and time again. So we'll look at the number of homes for sale first, and then we're going to look at prices. So 44514 right now, if we compare inventory versus last year, you have 38% more homes on the market. Okay, so you got more homes. That's good. I wonder how many homes you have total. You've got 81 houses on the market right now. This time last year, you had 59 homes on the market. So you are gaining inventory. We are seeing this throughout the state where we're seeing more and more homes for sale. But the question is two things. One, are they the right homes? And this is zip code level, right? It's not actually like street level or neighborhood level. That requires probably you to work with a realtor or pay attention to Zillow on a daily basis. But nonetheless, if we look at the inventory count, you only had 22 homes for sale back in 2022. Now you've got 81. So the inventory situation's improving. If you're buying, that's good. If you're a seller, that just means more competition, right? So now let's do prices. How are prices doing there? Home prices year over year, up 6.6% year over year. Wow. Wow. You guys may hear a dog in the background. She gets upset when people come around. She's just protective. So 6.6% increase in home prices. I mean, I can tell you because I have a national channel too called Housing Nerd. I review zip codes all over the US. And there aren't a lot of zip codes right now that are going up 6%. There aren't. So the fact that your prices are still going up over 6%, nearly 7% year over year is staggering. It's like, man, there's just no stopping some of these markets in Ohio. Granted, our home prices are pretty affordable compared to other areas, but look at this. Unreal. 44514, your home price is $224,000. Call it $225,000 if I round up. That's the typical value for a house. So it's taking out all the high stuff and taking out all the low stuff. That's an all-time record high, just like Newark. Just like we looked at Newark, Ohio. All-time record high. Homes have never been more expensive there. I mean, you can just see the chart. Look at this. Whew. Straight up. Straight up. Higher for longer, as they say. So that's what's happening there. I mean, you are gaining inventory, but home prices aren't slowing down and the growth is still there. So it doesn't seem like they're going to change direction anytime soon. They could, but are they going to crash? I mean, unless something strange happens, I don't think so. It's and again, it depends on the neighborhood and stuff, but man, that's shocking. Wow. Okay. So that is 44514, a record high. Geez. What do we got here? Mark Jones, 44212. 44212. 44212. All right, where's this? Like up in Cleveland area, huh? South of Cleveland. Let's do, and I forgot to do this on the last zip code, but we'll quickly hit on this metric, which is active number of homes for sale. Remember, we're going to start with inventory. And the first thing I'll look at is not the year over year. I will look at inventory compared to last year, but I'm going to start with inventory compared to 2019, because most housing analysts will use 2019 and say, all right, how many homes did we have before COVID? How many do we have now? What's that difference? The markets where we have more homes for sale than we did before COVID in 2019, that's where we're seeing the most price, the most price pain, the softest markets where we're like in Florida and Texas, in Colorado, you're seeing that. In Arizona and Vegas, you're seeing more homes for sale than 2019. In Ohio, not seeing that as much. So in this zip code, south of Cleveland, in 44212, you have 24% fewer homes for sale than you did before COVID. 24%. So you still don't have as many homes as you had for sale in 2019. That's crazy. Now you go back to inventory compared to last year. You have 25% more inventory, more homes than last year. That's good. So you're growing inventory. You want that. Now let's look at prices. How are prices doing? Up 3.8%. Okay. If you go historically, minus this craziness that happened during the COVID years, you see, what do you see? 4% growth, 5%, 5%, 3%. The point is 3.8% growth of home prices versus last year seems to be, normal, relatively normal in your market. The point is they're not going down. So again, I'm trying to educate you on the local Ohio market, because you'll see headlines on YouTube, on TV, wherever, on Facebook, from people saying housing market crashing. Definitely on Twitter, you'll see it. It's like, well, you need to come to Ohio and look at prices, because it ain't happening in most areas here. So prices higher for longer. Let's see what the typical value is. This is in 44212 south of Cleveland, $308,000. Guess what? Add it to the list. Another all-time record high home price. I mean, homes have never been more expensive. Typically, you see prices come down somewhat during the winter. In most markets, I mean, that's normal, right? You see prices come down. But right now, you're setting records in the middle of the winter. I mean, the inventory situation is not good, and it's continues to drive prices up overall in the state. So that's what's happening in 44212. Sandusky, Ohio, bro. I love the name. Could you tell me about 44870 and 43229? 44870. Let's do that one. $44870. This is up. Yeah, you said Sandusky, right? Is that right? Yeah. All right. Let's look at inventory compared to 2019. Goodness gracious. Down 42%. 42%. I mean, just you have to really appreciate that, because it means that if you go back to 2019, you had a lot more homes for sale. It is getting better, it looks like, but it's still nowhere near where it was in 2019. You're up only 7.5% in the number of homes for sale in Sandusky versus last year. I mean, there are markets, folks, where there's like 60% more homes for sale than 2019. Not in Ohio. I mean, there's probably some zip codes like that, but I mean, there's like big metros like, Dallas, San Antonio, Tampa, Vegas, Phoenix, where they've got a ton of homes, like decade high levels of inventory. But in Ohio, it's sparse. And a big reason for that is the new construction. I mean, if you go to like Dallas, you fly into Dallas, there are like sprawling subdivisions. I mean, as far as you can see, thousands of homes going in. In Ohio, nah, ain't happening. And the other thing is there's a lot of homes that are priced in like the $200,000 to $350,000 range that are brand new. Lots of them in Dallas. In Ohio, no. New homes, a lot of them, 500, 600, where y'all know, 700 grand, 800 grand. We just need more homes. We do. And Ohio is not built enough homes. Ohio is not built enough homes. Now look at your home price growth, though. You're only up 0.1%. So you're basically flat right now in home prices. Means you're not, they're not really growing right now. They're not dropping. They're just kind of flat. So let's see if it's a record high. Anybody guess? Is it a record high? Let's find out. It's not a record high. Okay. You're at 167,000, 168 grand. Your record high was like right here at 169,000. Okay, well, that's a normal market. You're supposed to go down in the winter somewhat. So right now it's acting like a normal market. I don't think it's crashing. You probably just don't have the inventory to crash it, but it's prices look like they're still sticky. I don't see any massive changes. Let me look at the new listings real quick there. Just, I'm curious. New listing count. Okay, so you have this year, you put in 40 new listings in January. This is through the end of January. You put in 40 new listings, and last year was 20, was that 24? 24 new listings. So you do have more sellers active in the market, and that's good. You need that to add some inventory to to create some kind of normal stabilization to the housing market where you live. You can't have sellers all, keeping their houses off the market. You got to have some inventory. All right. So that's what's happening in 44870. And then the other one you want to know about was 43229. By the way, shameless plug, if you're in central Ohio, like Licking County, Knox, Franklin, the surrounding counties of central Ohio, and you need a good realtor, hit me up. My info is in the description below, and I'm happy to give you a call and talk about, how I can help. So let's do 43229, and that's in Columbus, right? 43229. What do we got? Yeah, like you said. What did you say? Columbus Forest Park East. Okay. So 43229. Look at this inventory. Wow. You've got 138% more homes for sale than you did in 2019. Completely the opposite, right? And now active inventory year over year, you've got 35% more homes for sale in that zip code. So more homes than 2019 and more homes than last year. That's all good. I'm curious to see what prices are doing. What are prices doing? Okay, prices up 0.7%. So you can see that they haven't been growing really much at all, like not even keeping up with inflation over the past, since last April. They really weren't keeping up with inflation. And it's clear to see that like this, I guess a couple in 2024, you were up 6%, 8% in the middle of the year. But now home prices are basically kind of just running sideways. I mean, they're up slightly, but not much, under 1% year over year. So, I mean, that's dangerous. If you bought a home like 6 months ago, it's not a market where you can go, all right, I'm going to turn around and sell it and make a bunch of cash. Probably not going to happen, right? Because your home prices aren't running up like they were. Are you at an all-time high? Let's see. 275,000 is the typical value. And is that an all-time high? It could be. Yes, it's an all-time high. Wow. Another all-time high record price. 43229 in Columbus. Unbelievable. It just continues, right? It just keeps going and going and going. And you can see kind of what happened like back in 2020. In January 2020, your typical value was 194,000. And the following year, the typical value went all the way up to 218,000. And then it went in 1 year up to 245,000. I mean, before COVID, the typical house there in that zip code was $155,000. And now, 275. It's gone up $100,000. Now, if it's $1 million home, not a big deal. If it's a $155,000 home, that's a big deal. That's a big increase. Over 100 grand, right? 120 grand. My math's wrong. 120 grand. Goodness gracious. I mean, the growth of Ohio home prices is staggering. It's staggering. And as a realtor, it's sad. It's sad. Like I like sellers getting, if I list a home with a seller, obviously I want them to make money. I want them, that they, makes them happy, makes most people happy. They make money on their home. But at the same time, it's like, man, it makes it very difficult on buyers. And the average everyday buyer, the first time home buyer, right? Wow. Okay, that's 43229. Next. $43040. Let's do that one. 43040. Remember, if you can put in the city as well, that would help me. And tell me what you're doing. You're buying, selling, or what? Because that would help me understand what's going on. All right. Active inventory. And let me just look at where this is again. Where is that? I guess it's, is that, there's Columbus. I guess it's northwest of Columbus. I think I would know my geography better. Oh, Marysville. Okay. That's where you are in Marysville. Got it. Makes sense. All right. Marysville, Ohio. What's going on? Oh, and by the way, I got a poll up I put on the stream. If your market feels hot or not. And if it's or if it's, you know, locked up and frozen, meaning you don't see anything going on, which is possible. So go ahead and vote on the poll and we'll review the results at the end. All right, so let me go back to 43040, Marysville, Ohio. Active inventory versus 2019, you're down 4%. So it's not, as you know, you're not down 20%, but you're not up either. And since last year, you've got 34% more homes on the market, 35% more homes. No, yeah, 34%, right? 34.3. So you have more homes than last year. That's good. Now prices, how are they doing? Home prices up 2.5%. So 2.5% more homes than last year. I'm sorry, 2.5% higher home prices. My fault. Which is kind of normal, right? Home price growth historically is like 3-4%. Depends where you live, but generally speaking, that's the way prices have gone. So you're around inflation, right? If you think about it, if inflation's 2%, supposedly, then you're around that number. What about the typical value in Marysville? $372,000. Lock it in, folks. Put it on the list. Another all-time record high. People don't believe me. People do not believe me when I you know, I've been on some other housing channels. I've had folks from other housing markets. I had a guy on from Florida on my national channel a couple weeks ago, and his market's completely different. He does not believe, or it's like complete flabbergasted that we are still setting record high home prices. I mean, look at this, 372 in Marysville. Homes have never been more expensive there. And it's not like it's barely creeping up. I mean, I guess it's only up 2.5%, but it continues to go up. Like, it's not flat. You can see that upward trajectory. Back in 2019, before COVID, homes in Marysville, $232,000. They're up $140,000. Rough housing nerd math, right? Up $140,000 since COVID. Again, if you had $1 million home, 140 grand, not a big deal. If you have a $230,000 home, $140,000 increase is a lot. It's a lot. How much is it? Well, let's just find out. Like, what's that percentage? It's around approximately 50%. This is the change since 2020, not 2019, but I mean, who's counting at this point? A 50% increase in home prices. And it's continuing to go up. So, goodness. All right. That is Marysville. Let's see. You asked, I'm just going to take one of these, Annie. You asked about 44903 and 44906. Let me do 44906. $44906. Active inventory of homes for sale down 20% since 2019. So just fewer homes than you had before COVID. You do have 11, nearly 12% more versus last year. So a few more homes on the market. How many do you have total? You have 34 homes at the end of January anyway. This is updated monthly. And then last year you had 31 homes. So you've got 3 more homes than last year. I don't mean to laugh. It's just, crazy when you look at some of these stats. I mean, during COVID, you only had 18 homes. But look back, I mean, if you go back in time into like 2017, go all the way back. in the space-time continuum to 2017. Look, you had 59 homes on the market. So like, this is what I keep seeing throughout Ohio. Just home inventory has been depleted to a point that it's still woefully low, and lower, again, inventory speaks way before prices do. So lower inventory just equals usually higher prices. Let's find out though. How are your prices? Yeah, look, wow. And where is this? 44906. Let me just check. 44906. I still type. I type like a person who's never used a computer before. Oh, it's in Richland County. Oh, it's in Mansfield. Oh, I should have known that. Okay, Mansfield. Man, prices there are up that much. They're up 8%. Mansfield, Ohio, 44906. Home prices up 8% year over year. I don't mean to be so dramatic, but it's like, I mean, I thought we would see a lot more homes on the market this, already, right? As we head into March and into spring selling season. I thought we would. But we're not. And that's keeping prices higher for longer. Typical value, no surprise. $156,700, basically $157,000 in Mansfield, Ohio. That's an all-time record price. All-time record price. It's almost, and it doesn't matter like what price point it seems like. Like these homes are 157,000. Marysville, they were 300 and some thousand. And they're still all-time record prices. It doesn't matter. Man, look at that. It's just that line's like straight up. Like if I go back before COVID, homes there were $79,000, the typical house. Now again, this is typical, meaning they're taking out all the high-priced homes and all the super cheap homes, and they're using that middle area, which I like because they're, it's not like the higher end of the price points that is influencing the number. They're taking that out. $156,000. My, oh my. All right. And we can just go ahead and look since I'm doing this. Let's look. Since 2020, home prices are up there. What in the world? Up 75% since 2020. 75%. That's definitely not normal. It's not behaving like a normal market. It's not at all. If you'd have told people like 10 years ago, this is what's going to happen in the housing market. Well, first off, you could make a ton of money if you knew ahead of time, obviously. But the other thing is people just wouldn't believe you. They'd be like, what? That's not going to happen in Mansfield, Ohio. You're not going to have 75% home price growth in 6 years. But we do. Goodness. Okay, that's Mansfield. Let's do another one. What else we got? Boy, that was educational. Let's do 43123. A. Jadkins. 43123 in Columbus, right? Yeah, Grove City, right? This should be interesting. Yeah, so inventory there is higher, right? You're in Grove City. 22% more homes for sale than 2019. $22% more. So definitely adding inventory. Let's look at the inventory count. You've got 100 houses at the end of January anyway. You had 100 homes on the market. Last year, you had 91. The year before that, you had 69. The year before that, you had 60. The year before that, you had 44. The year before that, you had 38. So you can see that trend continues to build inventory. And we should see that theoretically, right? As more people decide to list their home because interest rates have come down, right? Are they under 6% today? I think they are. They were yesterday. According to Mortgage News Daily, they were like at 5.99. So interest rates have come down. As they come down, more people that have lower mortgage rates are willing to put their home on the market so that they trade up, right? Or they maybe list like their rental or their second home. Because as rates come down, more buyers are out there. So we are seeing inventory build there, and you're getting back to normal levels in Grove City in 43123. There are new builds there though, right? I mean, there's a lot of new builds in Grove City, comparatively to some other markets around Ohio. So especially like Mansfield, right? I don't know that there's a ton of new builds. Same with Newark, not a ton of new builds. A few, but not a lot. So that's going to keep those prices higher, generally speaking. But let's look at prices in Grove City. What are they doing? Up 1%. So not up, 20%. Thank goodness. Not up 15%. Not crashing, though. Still up 1%. They could fall negative. Like you could have negative growth this year. Wouldn't be shocked. We are seeing that, in many markets through the U.S. Overall, in the U.S. right now, prices are basically flat. Like they're up like 0.1% right now. So very, very low home price growth, but they're not crashing, and they're not doing that in Grove City either. So let's now look at the typical value. What are they doing? Typical value. $330,000 is the typical value in Grove City. Is that an all-time high? Wouldn't shock me, right? We just keep seeing this over and over. It is. All-time record high price in Grove City. Again, we've only had one zip code today so far where we haven't had a record high home price. Like, I never want to be the type of realtor, and I hate when realtors say this, you better buy now, home prices only go up. I don't want to tell you that. You have to, make that decision yourself if you should buy. And I think that's the cheesiest thing a realtor could say. Maybe the worst, that's a bad phrase, like real estate only goes up, or you better buy now or before it's too late type attitude. I hate that, pressuring people. The other thing I hate is marry the house, date the rate. It's like the worst thing somebody could say in real estate. Like, it's your decision, not mine, if you buy. However, I will say, if you look at the trends, it doesn't seem like home prices are crashing, right? So could they come down slightly? Maybe. You could get more inventory. That's good for a buyer. If you're a seller, if you price the home right and you're not greedy, you should sell it. You should sell it. But pricing the home right is very important. All right. Grove City, done. What's next? Did we already do this one? Let me look. I don't think I did. Triple R, Triple H, looking to buy in 44641. 44641. I don't think I did. Where is this? 44641. Four 641 is Lousiville, Ohio. Okay, or is it Louisville? In Northeast Ohio, right? So it's not, there's a St. Louisville near me, but this is Louisville, Ohio. Never heard of it. Wow, look at that. Inventory down 60% since 2019. 60%. You have there's nothing for sale compared to pre-COVID. Active inventory year over year up 20%. So more homes than last year, but way down compared to COVID. You only have, or pre-COVID, you only have 23 homes on the market right now. During COVID, you had 8 homes. It's a joke, right? But then historically, you've had 57, 40, 45 homes. So that's kind of normal. Right now, you're still way underneath that normal level of homes for sale. Home prices year over year, unbelievable. Up 5%. 5%. Like if I look all the way across the US, again, there aren't many markets. I mean, there are some. I'm not going to say there's none, but I don't run into many. Well, in the Midwest and the Northeast, I do, but beyond that, I don't run into many that are up 5%. Somebody forgot to tell Ohio about a home price crash. They're like, nah, Ohio is not going to participate in that. Typical value, unreal. Here we go. Another record high, 234,463 in Lousiville, Ohio. Zip code 44641. And you're looking to buy, right? So I would say you definitely have more homes to choose from than you did last year, but not a ton. And prices are certainly still going up. At least the typical home is. So you're going to have to, you may have to, on a market like this, you're going to have to be strategic. You may have to buy something that is beat up, right? You may have to, depending on your budget and what your goals are. And you may have to look off market. Unless, you've got the cash and you're like, and you're like, no, I can pay whatever for a home. But I would watch the inventory numbers. Triple R, Triple H. I would watch those and look at how many homes are on the market now and watch them. You watch them every day if you want, or you watch them every week, however you do that. But, you can get with a realtor locally there who has access to the MLS and ask them to pull. And this goes for anybody who listening to this, if they want to know what's happening in their market and keep tabs on it themselves, just ask you can go to like Zillow or Redfin. Obviously, you can follow me and all that stuff. But if you want to look at it yourself, have a realtor pull the data and send it to you every week, every month. They should be willing to do that. It's easy to do. And have them send you how many active homes in the area you want to buy, in the price point you want to buy, and the type of home. So filter out the stuff that you don't want to look at. Have them send you those active homes for sale. How many are there? Count those. Have them send you new listings. Have them send you the sold listings. And you can keep it on a piece of paper if you wanted to on your refrigerator, and just write them down. The date, how many did I have active, new, sold, active, new, sold, and you'll see a trend develop. If you're not seeing more active inventory come in as spring approaches, then the chances of the prices coming down are slim. But with this kind of inventory situation, you're just going to have to be really strategic. You're going to have to hunt hard, hunt off market, look at expired listings, look at for sale by owner, drive neighborhoods, look for homes that you're like, hey, that looks like a home that maybe needs some love. Maybe it's beat up a little, but it's in the area you want to buy. Send them a letter. Hey, I'm looking to buy a home in your area. I'm not an investor, right? Unless you are, then you got to tell, you should probably tell them you're an investor. But if you're not, just tell them, hey, I want to buy a home. You interested in talking? People do find homes that way. That's how I find all my investment properties. I don't find them on the MLS. There's nothing there, obviously. Okay. So that's some tidbits on how to find maybe an opportunity. Okay. University District 43202. Let's do this one. 43202. All right. Inventory since 2019 down 30%. And this is like in the heart of Columbus, right? Near Ohio State. Active inventory year over year down 30%. So the inventory numbers are not helping you if you're buying. If you're selling, that's great news, right? But look at prices. Wow, let me go back and look at inventory for a second. Yeah, you only have 12 homes, so there's not, when you only have 12 homes on the market, it's, one or two makes a big percentage difference. I mean, you basically have the historical norm. I mean, you were at 17 at one point, but, you're only talking a few percentage, or a few units, right? So it's not going from 12 to 17 will look a lot bigger on a percentage, But in reality, the count's not very big. But let's look at prices because those look down. Yeah, look at this. Wow, we found a place where prices are actually down in Ohio. Down 4% year over year in home prices. And you've been down basically every month, going all the way back to May of 24. Home prices continue to fall. So it'll be interesting to see what they look like for the typical value. Typical value. Wow, look at this. $335,000, not an all-time high at all. In fact, you hit that all-time high back in, where is this? Back in July of 2023 at 387 grand. So the typical home value there has fallen $50,000. $50,000. Home prices are definitely falling there. They are. And it could be because people bought at the height of the market. Now they're slashing prices to get rid of them. You don't have a ton of inventory, obviously, but you usually don't. There's usually not a ton of homes there for sale. I'm guessing it's a lot of like multifamily there, maybe, that's selling like, 2, 3, 4 unit properties. Because this is single family house value. I don't know that this counts multifamily, small multifamily in there. Yeah, prices are falling there, but you don't have a ton of homes. So I would say if I'm looking in this market and I see prices falling like this, I'm making I'm probably going to make low offers, right? Why not? And if you're selling, you better price it right, obviously. Know your comps. That entry price is vital. If you overprice a house, it's like the worst feeling as a realtor when you work with the seller and you work together and you come up with a price that makes sense. You think, and the seller's like, yeah, that makes sense. And you guys go in and price, and put the house on the market, and you're like, man, we overpriced the home. So it's an art. It's not something that is simple to do, but it's vital to get the home sold quickly. All right, so that was University District. Man, that was cool. Found one that wasn't an all-time high. Galloway is next, 43119. And obviously, I'm not going to get to all the requests, unfortunately, but there were a lot at the beginning, 43119. But I will do this again. I'll try to do it every week, depending on my schedule with clients. 43119. Inventory in Galloway, right, which is kind of West Columbus, up 40% since 2019. You got a lot more homes in 2019. Good. Let's see what the count is. Well, you've got 25 homes all together. Last year you had 31 homes, so you're actually down year over year. But right before COVID, you had 18 homes. So you definitely have more to choose from. Let's see about prices. What's happening with prices? Yeah, no surprise. Down 0.9%. So they're not up from last year. They're kind of like flat, right? You can see that flattening, right? You can see how that line goes down to a flat level. And before that, home prices were up basically every single month. Some months they were up 8%. During COVID, look at that, up 13%. One month you were up 20% year over year. Obviously not sustainable. And it wasn't because the price growth has slowed. Typical value, not an all-time high, I don't think. 309, basically $310,000. Your all-time high was like right through here in February, March of last year at 312 was your all-time high in Galloway. So you're not there yet. Okay. You're not at an all-time high. Prices kind of flat to sideways. They and I guess they're actually down slightly. So that could continue. if you keep adding more and more homes, but you still have a lack of homes compared to 2019. So you probably just need more inventory that will solve it. But it's not crashing. Galloway's not crashing by any means. All right. Let's see. What else we got? Who else? Houses are not affordable. I mean, the hard reality is, and I hear you, the hard reality is compared to a lot of markets through the US, they are affordable here. I mean, depends what affordable means to you. But the Ohio market, like Columbus in particular, the population continues to grow. They're putting in all these data centers, right? The killer in all this is property taxes, right? Property taxes and insurance crush these budgets. They crush every deal I look at. Like when I'm looking for an investment property, and they don't cash flow because of taxes. There's nothing you can do about the taxes, right? I mean, if you owe them, you owe them. Okay, I'm not going to bring up that comment. Let me just look at this. Let me look at some of these comments. Some of these are funny. Thinking about moving very near future. Unrelated, my realtors never told me there was a tax lien of $7,000 on my house. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm reading some of these, so I don't want to put one up I shouldn't. Oh, here's somebody commenting on 43065. Is that Mansfield, right? Houses are 43065 is Powell, my bad. Yeah, let me look at this one. We have a lot of viewers in Powell. So yeah, let's look at Powell. That's one of the, I guess, hot areas, right? $43065 in Powell. Inventory compared to 2019, down 35%. And active inventory compared to last year, you're actually up. You're up 60%. So you got more homes than last year, but fewer than 2019. That's kind of common. We're seeing that in a lot of places. Look at the historical trend, though, of homes for sale, the number of homes. 73 houses right now in Powell. 46 last year. So there's a big jump up, right, from last year to this year. Historically, you were running like 115, 113, 110, 126 homes. So you still have fewer than you usually do, but at least you're growing that number. Now let's look at prices. How are you doing? Okay, prices are barely up, just 0.4%. Just 0.4%, but they're not down at all. But that growth is slowing, right? In other words, you're not up 10% anymore, 15%. It's just up 0.4%. Which is under inflation. So in reality, and this is all nominal home prices, right? Not real. So it's not adjusted for inflation. So if you think about it and you're like, well, inflation's 2%. Let's pretend, the Fed's target's 2%, even though that's a fake target. You're basically losing value if you think about it from a standpoint of inflation. So when you adjust for inflation, the prices are actually down. If you're only up 0.4% nominally. I hope I didn't confuse anybody, but that's how you look at that for inflation adjusted. The price is there. The typical value, these aren't even the expensive homes in Powell, $562,000, basically $563,000. It's not an all-time high, but man, it's close. So you're down just like barely off the all-time high in Powell. Before COVID, homes were $370,000. Now they're $562,000. Almost a $200,000 increase on a $370,000 home in just 6 years. That's definitely not normal. But They are gaining inventory. There are a lot of new builds there, but they're definitely not, $300,000 new builds, right? They're going to be more expensive. Okay. That was 43065. Thanks for sharing that or asking. Oh, here's a Newark one. We talked about Newark at the beginning. I bought my West Newark home in 2019, have a 3% rate, right? I'm not selling it. I just bought a $500,000 home in Buckeye Lake at 5.625, which, that's not a bad rate either, actually. Yeah, I mean, why would you sell that one, right? Like, you're just going to rent it? I imagine you will. Maybe you won't. I don't know. But like that 3% interest rate, Jessup, that's an asset. That's an asset. A 3% interest rate's an asset. Will we see 3% rates again? Nobody knows. The people that say we'll never see that again are, you can't say that. You can't say never, never is going to happen, right? But a 3% interest rate's an asset. So if you can borrow money for 30 years at 3% on a piece of real estate, depends on what you pay, and the numbers, but man, that's good. So a lot of people like you, Jessup, where they're like, I'm not going to sell. Why would I? I don't need to. Yeah, even worse than date the rate. Right? That's so cheesy. We are stubborn. Yeah, they're not stubborn. They're just, it's their asset, right? So they're like, well, I'm not going to do it unless I have to. I'm not going to sell unless it's needed to. All right, let me see if I can help some other people here. Toledo, 43614. Wife will be listing in April, 43614. Now, you should still study your local market, right? You don't just rely on my numbers, 43614. And you can always, you can use a realtor. You don't have to sell your home. But whatever you do, make sure you understand the local market. Active inventory compared to 2019, down 62% in Toledo compared to 2019. Compared to last year, you have 12% more homes for sale. Okay, let's look at the active inventory count. 28 homes right now. Back in January of 2022, you had 22 homes. So you've barely grown the inventory there. Barely. Like, the inventory there is gone. Look at that. You guys haven't changed anything really since COVID. And you can really see the difference, right? I mean, look, you had 110 homes, 94 homes. So inventory was falling before COVID. But then in 2019, you had 73 homes in January of 2019, then 75 homes in January of 2020. And then look what happened. You went all the way down to 34 homes. And then you went down to 22 homes. Then you went down to 20, then 18. And now you have, there's a come up of some sort, but it's not enough to probably cause a price collapse. 614. Okay. Let's do prices there in Toledo. Toledo, Ohio. Up 5%. They continue to go up 5% year over year. And what's the typical value? Let's find out. $197,000. It's an all-time record high. It looks like a stock chart from NVIDIA, right? Except lately, I guess. But it's just straight up. Look back in 2019 before COVID, homes were 121,000. Now they're 197,000. So I would say if you're selling, I would still not, this is just my advice, but I would make sure you're not greedy because, buyers are factoring in property taxes and higher interest rates than, during COVID. So don't be greedy, but make sure you understand the market and price it right out of the gate to sell it, right? oftentimes, if you list a home too high, thinking you'll get a high price or you can always work down, the opposite happens. You actually sell for less versus pricing it to market, let the market decide. And if it gets bid up, fine. Because if it's priced right and inventory's tight, it should attract some buyers relatively quickly. Yeah. So you can always go into Zillow and pull some comps. You could go into county records and pull some comps, but spend some time and pull comparable sales to your property as close to your house as possible, and try to pull them in the last 3 months. Don't go back a year. Try to pull them in the last 3 months, the last 6 months max, but don't go back a year. Go just 3 months, and that's a lot of appraisers will do that to look at value. So that is Toledo. Thanks for that. If we had more homes and prices would fall, generally speaking, yeah, generally speaking, it's just like anything else, right? Like, remember when during COVID, like bicycles, there were no bikes around because of parts. You couldn't get parts for bikes, or, bicycles were like selling for like the triple. The same with like a Peloton machine, right? People were like overpaying for those. Same with cars, right? Because there was no inventory. That's just all it is, supply and demand. You just need more inventory, and you need more inventory that people want. If it's all like junk, like fixer-uppers, overpriced stuff, luxury homes in an area that doesn't hold that price, that doesn't really count. You need good homes that people, just normal homes for that buyer. And that's why prices collapsed during like 2008, 2009, 10, 11, 12. We saw that massive decrease in prices. Let me see if this will tell me. It probably will. So yeah, look right here during 2007, you can see prices in Toledo in that zip code 43614 as an example. And you would see this throughout Ohio and throughout the US pretty much. Homes were 112 grand, and they dropped all the way down to 88,000 by 2013. That's when they kind of bottomed out around there. So that happened, and I don't have the graph to show this to you going back that far, but that happened because we had too many homes on the market. Nationally, we had 4 million houses on the market nationally. Now we have like just barely a million. So you need a ton of inventory to cause a massive price crash. You just do. And that's what most crash bros, I call them, or crash sisters. There's women out there too that are crash lovers who are just hoping for a housing crash. They never talk about that because they're not getting what they want, or they're not getting their crash. But at the end of the day, you got to have a lot of inventory. Got to. And you got to have a lot of forced selling, right? People that are like, I got to sell or I'm bankrupt. Not people that are like, I'm sitting on a 3% rate, I don't need to sell. Markets don't crash that way. Okay. Let me see if we can take, it's 1:03, hour and 3 minutes. A few more minutes here. Delta, Ohio, thinking of moving in the near future. Okay, cool. Let's do Delta, Ohio. Java fixed time. 43515. Let me do inventory 2019. All right, in Delta, Ohio, you've got 63% fewer homes on the market. 63%. And year over year, you are up 7%. So you got more homes in 2019 and more homes than last year. Those are good things if you're looking to buy. At least you have more inventory, but let's look at the count. How many are we actually talking about? Okay, we're only talking about 7 homes. So there's not a lot of inventory there, period. So these percentages, I mean, they matter somewhat. Like if you go back before COVID, you can see you had 19 homes and 21 homes and 24 homes. So Only having 7 homes is not great, probably, if you're looking to buy. Let's do prices. Year over year prices, they're still up. So they're up 0.7%, not even 1% up. But that growth is definitely slowing, but I don't know that it's definitely not crashing. You're not negative yet. And typical value, it's not an all-time high, but it's 208,409 for the typical house in Delta. And it's not an all-time high, but really close to it, right? You're right there. So it doesn't look like prices are falling at all, really. But don't overpay either. In other words, don't try to get into a bidding war with somebody or something. And make sure you do all your homework. Make sure you do your inspections. Make sure you take your time. Understand the home buying process. Understand the market. Look at a lot of homes, even though there's only 7 homes on the market right now at the end of January. Maybe look at some other areas too around there. I don't know that market well. So it's there's not a lot of homes for sale there. Not a lot, and prices are sticky, still high. Okay, let me look at the poll. I'm curious to see what happened. All right, how does your local market feel right now is the poll. 27% said still hot, 44% said slowing down, and 29% said stalled and frozen. I mean, this poll the results of this would be vastly different if it was another market. Like, if I did this poll as a realtor in Florida, it would be like slowing down would be all the selection. Nobody would say it's still hot. So that's kind of what I expected. All right, let me go back. Take a couple more comments, and then I got to quit. What time is it? Oh, yep. I'm almost out of time. We have a lot of potential sellers who know they cannot afford to replace what they have. That's true. Once the price breaks and go lower, more houses will list. Only buyers are the sellers or investment bros. Only buyers are the sellers or investments. I see what you're saying. Well, there are first-time home buyers, right, that don't own a home. And yeah, I don't know how there's a lot of people buying investments right now, or like rental homes. They are. I mean, not saying there's not deals out there if you hunt hard enough, but overall, a lot of stuff is not mathing from an investment standpoint. So, but people are still. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are people still buying. Yeah, I mean, you can't replace it, right? Like, I couldn't buy my house now. My house is anything special, but I couldn't buy it now if it was on the market. No, wouldn't happen. No, would not happen. Oh, here's another question. This is a good one. Is this info available to the public? It is actually. This is all. So I should have mentioned this at the beginning. This is. Let me move this. The name of this site or this service is Resi Club Terminal. That's where I get all this data. And it's all from Realtor.com and Zillow, pretty much. And that's all publicly available. Like, you can go to Zillow, go to their data section. They have charts and things, but you can download all the raw data. So what Resi Club does is they take all that data, download it, and then put it into this map and graphical form for us to look at. And then I have a subscription to this, and it's I think it's like $500 or $700 a year for this service. But I use it all the time, so it's an investment in my business, and I have the permission of Resi Club to use it. But that's where I got it. So you can go to either Resi Club if you want to subscribe to this, you can, and pay the money, or you could go to Zillow if you wanted to and actually download the raw data for your area. You can do that. You can go to Realtor.com and download the raw data. So it is publicly available. It's just not neat and clean with Chat GPT and Claude and Anthropic the way it is right now, something you could definitely do is download the raw data and give it to an AI system and ask it to analyze your zip code. I'm not sure how that would, how accurate that would be, but it's probably there's a path to do that. Or you can use a realtor, right, to send you the data. So thank you for asking about this. It is public. Just looking to see it anymore. Okay, if you have one you wanted me to review and I didn't get to it, I apologize. I'll do this again. You can always reach out to me via email. My info is in the link below or the description below. And if you need help buying or selling a house or have a question about Ohio real estate in general, hit me up and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So anyway, have a great day, Ohio. It was awesome to hang out with you. Thank you for suggesting some of these zip codes, some of these areas. Yeah, the Ohio housing market keeps moving forward. So far, it's not a crash. It's definitely in trouble because there's nothing to buy really in most of these areas. So depends on where you live, if your zip code's at risk or not. All right. I'm the Ohio housing nerd and I'm out. Peace. See ya.